Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel and editorial discussion for 4th May 2022. My name is Harsh Singh, and in this video we shall be able to understand how poverty is estimated and calculated in the country, and if there are some issues regarding that, with the help of two live mint editorials of today and one The Hindu's editorial of today itself, which speaks about the employment situation in the country, right? And both the editorials are important from the perspective because poverty and employment have been directly mentioned in the syllabus GS paper 2 and GS paper 3. If you like this initiative, shower some love through likes, comments and shares. Let's discuss. See, this is important for anybody to understand what is the poverty level in the country. Has pandemic and pandemic induced lockdown impacted the poorer population, especially the most vulnerable, that is children, women, elderly, rural, or people in the urban poor community? We will have to know that. Have these communities, vulnerable communities, been impacted because demonetization? Have they been impacted because of GST imposition, which is GST taxes collection are only rising, but are they also increasing the prices at which people purchase, especially the vulnerable population purchases their commodities, their items? Government programs, it is being said, that have immensely impacted the poverty levels and have reduced the extreme poverty levels. So there are two reasons why people want to know about the poverty levels in the country. First, curiosity to understand whether there has been some functioning and some impact of government schemes. And the second is they want to raise the poverty line because it is being heard in the international fora. IMF says, World Bank says, all of them say that the poverty levels in the country have declined. Extreme poverty, especially below 1%, IMF says that. So can we raise the bars so that the government, earlier the bar was $1.9 per person per day consumption, and now we want to raise it to $3.2 per day per person. And if we raise the bars, the government will have better targets, and it will have 20% of people within extreme poverty line. So they will have more targets and better targets to work, and then India's population will be better than before. So these are the two reasons. Now, if you look at 3.2 lakh rupees per annum, there'll be 20% of India's population in this bracket. All right. Now, uh, here is where we must know what are the ways in which poverty is calculated. See, there are different kind of items that we consume. We all people consume. The first item that we consume is that of daily disposal, right? For example, the perishable items like fruits and vegetables. This we consume at a daily level. Then there are items that we consume at a monthly level. For example, soap, shampoo, and then we have other items like toothpaste, right? Visiting a doctor. All of these things are done, say, at an average of 15 days, 20 days, or a month itself, or 2 months, right? So a different recall period. And the third one is the kind of item that are durables, and we consume over even farther number of days. For example, purchasing furnitures, purchasing carpets, table, purchasing a vehicle. Now, if we try to remember what we had purchased in a week's time, in a month's time, or in a year's time, we will be able to understand the consumption level of that person, and then we will be able to understand if that person is rich enough to afford those items or not, right? This is where government introduced three times of recall. Recall means to remember if they consume the item or not, right? So if we have a 7-day recall period, we will be easily able to relate if we purchase some vegetables, items, fruits in the last 7 days or not. If we have a 30-day recall period for toothpaste and other items like visiting a doctor or shampoo, this will be the most optimal. And if we have a 365-day recall, right, period for those items which are durables, which we consume very less, that will be optimal. Why do we need to have a 7-day recall for purchasing a vehicles, right? One can ask this once a year itself. One can ask questions on these items in 30 days, and one can ask the question on perishables in 7 days. Now, government does not do this. Government has a different way of calculation. So let's understand the ways of calculation. There's a mixture of all that the government does. Now, firstly, if you see, previously before 1983, government was using only 30-day recall period, uniform recall period. This is what it was called as for all the items. They would want to know in 30-day duration what people purchased. Then starting 1983, they used two ways. One is uniform recall period, that is 30-day, and then they also started to know what people purchased in a year, right? So durables, they had different, and they used both of them. So this was called as mixed reference period. In this, uniform recall period was also used, and 365-day recall was also used. I hope you understand what I'm saying. And the third one the most advanced government is now using is the modified mixed recall period, in which the government says, how will we remember what we consumed in 30 days? People will not be able to recollect only. So let us have a 7-day recollection period for vegetables, fruits, perishable items, so that people are able to recollect every time. And government calls this modified mixed recall period. It has been using this data, and you know what impact it has caused? Just the statistical difference is that if we are asking people to remember items they consumed, even suppose perishables, in 365 days, nobody will tell. We'll be able to tell if we ate that vegetable 1 year back or not. But 3 and 30 days also tough to tell, but 7 days very easy to tell. So this raised the extreme poverty. This reduced the extreme poverty in India to a considerable level. There was, see, if we use the same data, uniform recall period and modified mixed recall period, there is a poverty decline of 10%. This happened in 2011 and 12 data. When we are using modified mixed recall period, the poverty is around 12%. And if we do not use it, if you used uniform recall period, 30-day recall, right, we get a 22% poverty in the country, because people do not remember what items they consumed. Right. Now, this is where the problem lies, because World Bank uses the old method of uniform recall period. Even when we have the latest data, mixed modified, we are using the old data. And that is why World Bank data contains more poor population, more percentage of poor in the country. World Bank data also is recommending 120-day recall period of consumer pyramid household survey. Why? When we have 7-day recall period, right? Why are we using that data which whose sample size is such that people are not able to recollect items? Why are we using those kind of questionnaires which have lesser questions asked? We should be using more questions, right, in the questionnaires. So these are some critiques because of which our poverty levels are higher than what is required. Right, and people are also confused over these kind of questionnaires, because asking them to recollect, they'll not be able to recollect what they used over 30 days, right, than 7 days. Now, over and above, there is a rising unemployment in the country, but the government says that the unemployment is only declining. There is rising worker force participation in the country. Now, it is happening because of a couple of factors. One factor is that unpaid family labor has risen in the country, and mostly by women. Where are they going? They are getting absorbed in the agriculture sector. See, absolute number of workers in agriculture increased from 200 to 232 million. You don't have to remember this data, but just have to understand the analysis. Unpaid family labor is increasing, so we feel that more workers are participating. But what is the quality of employment? What is the earning? It is very it's dismal, right? It's painfully dismal. And then, yes, this is true that manufacturing employment has increased in the country, right? There have been more number of manufacturing jobs lately, but this is because there was a huge decline, 3 million population decline in manufacturing, and then slow rise of around 1.5 million manufacturing jobs in the country. And this was despite Make in India, right? Manufacturing percentage of the GDP has declined from 17% to less than 15%. It is 13%. The Hindi editorial of today itself states, right? Despite Make in India, right? Now, urban unemployment is also rising now. So this is what is K-shaped recovery, where some indicators are going down and some indicators are recovering well. Right. Now, this is only reversing all the trends. Earlier, we were looking at a structural change where employment in agriculture will reduce, and employment in industry, manufacturing sector would increase. But now, manufacturing jobs are only stagnating and reducing. Agricultural jobs are increasing. We are reversing all the trends. This is not a good trend. Now, in agriculture sector, which has been doing well, and the MSME sector, there is no data of MSME itself. Now, an informal survey conducted by Consortium of Indian Association, it conducted a survey of around 60 to 80,000 MSMEs, small businesses, and they found that many of the MSMEs, they had cut down their staff. Right, around 60% MSMEs had cut down their staff, and the government, many of them, more than 80%, did not use government packages, stimulus packages. Around 30% were unable to get their payment dues. They deserved these payments back from private and government entities, but they did not get the payment, and most of them being rejected by the banks for loans. This is happening at the practical level. The survey indicating this. See, government says something, and yes, that's understandable. We have to understand this and we have to represent this. However, the reality, according to the survey, is something else. So MSME is not doing well, manufacturing stagnating, agriculture leading to unpaid family labor, and rising urban unemployment as well in the country. Right, so this is the situation of unemployment, and you can also understand what is the situation of poverty. Poverty has declined, extreme poverty has declined. However, the way in which World Bank calculates poverty, through uniform recall period, this is something that needs to change towards modified mixed recall period. I expect a question like this in the examination, so therefore look at this topic well and prepare well. Mention 5 factors which lead to accurate estimation of poverty and employment or unemployment trends in the country. A simple question, but yet it's important for you to exercise your brain. So put down in the comment section the answer to this. And if you like this initiative, share some love through likes, shares, and subscribes. If you have got questions, put it down in the comment section. We will get back to you. Thank you for watching.